Archaeologists have made a fascinating discovery. They have unearthed the ancient tomb of a pharaoh, or a ruler of ancient Egypt. This is the first discovery of an Egyptian royal's tomb in more than a century.
Archaeologists are claiming they've discovered the first pharaoh's tomb in over a century, and what they found inside has forced Egyptologists to completely rewrite everything they thought they knew about one of ancient Egypt's most mysterious royal families. The tomb belongs to King Thutmos II, a pharaoh who ruled 3,500 years ago and whose burial place has been lost for millennia. But when the excavation team finally crawled through a narrow 10-meter passageway, squeezing through an opening barely 40 square centimeters wide to reach the inner chamber, what greeted them wasn't gold or treasures. It was something far more shocking. Share this with everyone you know, because in October 2022, a joint Egyptian-British archaeological team discovered an entrance and passageway carved into cliffs approximately 2.4 kilometers west of the Valley of the Kings near Luxor, Egypt. Initially, researchers designated it simply as Tomb C4 and believed it belonged to one of the royal wives of King Thutmos III, based on its proximity to Queen Hatshepsut's tomb and other royal women's burial sites. But pottery analysis conducted during the late 2024 and early 2025 excavation season revealed something that would change everything. Ceramic fragments bearing the unmistakable name of Thutmos II, identified as the deceased king. Before we break down exactly what happened and why this discovery rewrites royal Egyptian history, please make sure you subscribe to Vault of Discovery. We're giving you the real archaeological analysis nobody else will touch. The discovery began when retired French geologist Yves Fouquet was studying high-resolution seabed charts. But this story starts differently. Scottish archaeologist Dr. Piers Litherland, field director of the New Kingdom Research Foundation and honorary research associate at Cambridge's MacDonald Institute for Archaeological Research, had been searching for the lost tomb of Thutmos II for over 12 years. His team had previously excavated 54 tombs in Luxor's western Theban mountain and identified over 30 royal wives and court women, but the final missing tomb of the 18th dynasty kings remained elusive. When Litherland's team initially entered Tomb C4, they encountered corridors badly damaged by repeated flooding. After navigating collapsed ceilings and debris set like concrete, they made it into a chamber with evidence of decoration, a patch of ceiling painted blue with yellow stars. Then they found something that made their hearts stop: scenes from the Amduat carved onto the north wall. The Amduat is a funerary text similar to the Book of the Dead, divided into hours portraying the daily journey through the underworld of Ra, the sun god. And it's almost exclusively reserved for royalty. Think about what this actually means. The discovery that the burial chamber had been decorated with scenes from the Amduat, a religious text which is reserved for kings, was immensely exciting and the first indication that this was a king's tomb, Dr. Litherland explained. The team was shocked because they'd assumed they were excavating a queen's burial site. The wide staircase and large doorway suggested something far more important than initially thought. But here's the first shocking twist. The tomb was found completely empty. The entire contents of the tomb had been removed. The tomb was not robbed, Piers Litherland told reporters. The burial was taken out in its entirety. This wasn't the work of ancient grave robbers seeking treasures. This was a deliberate, organized evacuation of a pharaoh's final resting place conducted shortly after the king's death. Water damage throughout the chambers told the catastrophic story of what happened next. According to Mohammed Abdelbadi, co-leader of the mission and head of the Egyptian antiquities sector, the tomb flooded shortly after Thutmos II died, leaving it in a poor state of preservation. The location itself reveals a shocking error in ancient engineering. The tomb is situated in a poorly chosen place beneath two waterfalls and at the bottom of a slope down which water would have, and did, pour in the much wetter weather of the 18th dynasty, Litherland noted. Winter floods in this region can be catastrophic, and the tomb's position guaranteed destruction. Dr. Judith Bunbury, a geoarchaeologist at Cambridge's Department of Earth Sciences and deputy mission director, described the devastation they found. The lower part of the chamber had been oddly protected by the pressure of sediment from a previous flood, but above it the wet plaster had kind of melted, slumped down, and folded over. Floodwater had surged through the cut passages, leaving behind debris that later hardened into a solid mass blocking movement. Repeated soaking swelled the plaster and loosened rock joints, causing ceilings to sag and collapse in places. Then came the second devastating revelation. Among the rubble, the archaeological team recovered and painstakingly restored fallen plaster fragments featuring blue inscriptions, yellow star motifs representing the sky, and segments from hours 7 through 12 of the Amduat, the final hours when Ra faces the chaos serpent Apophis and is reborn at dawn. Fragments of alabaster jars provided the clearest proof of ownership. Ancient hieroglyphs preserved on these shattered vessels spelled out Thutmose II's royal titles even after 3,500 years, along with inscriptions bearing the name of Queen Hatshepsut with blessings wishing her life. According to Muhammad Ismail Khaled, Secretary General of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities, this represents the first funerary furniture of Thutmose II ever discovered. No such objects exist in museums anywhere in the world. This is one of the most important archaeological discoveries in recent years. The artifacts discovered there are an important addition to the history of the archaeological area and the reign of King Thutmose II, Khaled stated. Think about the implications. Thutmose II remains one of ancient Egypt's most enigmatic rulers. Scholars debate whether his reign lasted just 3 years or as many as 13 years, with most evidence pointing toward the shorter time frame. He is overshadowed by virtually everyone in his royal family. His father, Thutmose I, his half-sister and wife, Queen Hatshepsut, and his son, Thutmose III. Historical records suggest he squashed an uprising in Nubia and campaigned in the eastern Mediterranean, venturing as far as modern-day Syria. But the king's armies were led by his generals rather than Thutmose II himself. But the third twist changes everything about this forgotten pharaoh's place in history. The tomb's architecture revealed something archaeologists never expected. Litherland explained that the tomb's simple architectural design served as a prototype for later royal tombs of the 18th dynasty. A plastered corridor leads to the burial chamber, with the floor of the corridor elevated approximately 1.4 meters above the burial chamber's floor, a design innovation that would be copied in subsequent royal tombs. This elevated corridor served a critical function. Researchers now believe it was specifically designed to facilitate the removal of the tomb's contents after the catastrophic flooding. The elevated corridor of the tomb is likely how the tomb's contents, including the mummy of the pharaoh, were relocated after the flooding, the Egyptian Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities confirmed. Ancient priests had to act quickly, working in darkness with floodwater still draining from the chambers, breaking alabaster jars and funerary furniture as they evacuated the king's remains to protect them from further destruction. Then intelligence agencies discovered, actually, it was the archaeological team that uncovered, the final game-changing truth about where Thutmose II's body ended up. The pharaoh's mummy was discovered in 1881 in the royal cache at Deir el-Bahari, a massive mortuary complex where the mummified remains of numerous pharaohs and royal family members were secretly reburied in ancient times after their original tombs were damaged or threatened. Thutmose II was found alongside other 18th and 19th dynasty leaders, including Ahmose I, Amenhotep I, Thutmose I, Thutmose III, Ramesses I, Seti I, Ramesses II, and Ramesses IX. His mummy tells a horrific story. Ancient tomb robbers had broken his left arm off at the shoulder joint, separated his forearm at the elbow joint, and chopped off his right arm below the elbow. Studies of his remains suggest Thutmose II died before the age of 30, possibly due to health issues that may have limited his ability to rule effectively. The king's physical condition during his reign might explain why Queen Hatshepsut wielded so much power even before his death. Think about what this discovery forces us to reconsider about one of history's most controversial royal relationships. Hatshepsut married her half-brother Thutmose II when she was approximately 14 or 15 years old to strengthen his claim to the throne, since he was born to Thutmose I's secondary wife, Mutnefret, rather than the principal royal wife. Many archaeologists believe Hatshepsut was the real power behind the throne during Thutmose II's rule because of the similar domestic and foreign policies later pursued under her own reign and her claim that she was her father's intended heir. She is depicted in several raised relief scenes from a Karnak gateway dating to Thutmose II's reign, both together with her husband and alone. Most tellingly, Hatshepsut later had herself crowned pharaoh several years into the rule of her husband's young successor, Thutmose III, and the tomb discovery now confirms it was Hatshepsut who presided at Thutmose II's funeral, not their son. It does tell us that he was buried by Hatshepsut and not by his son, the infant Thutmose III. It was the duty of kings to bury their predecessors, Litherland explained. Upon Thutmose II's death around 1479 BC, the underage Thutmose III became pharaoh at age 2. Hatshepsut initially served as regent, but by year 7 of Thutmose III's reign, she assumed the position of pharaoh alongside him, effectively backdating her accession to year 1 when she had been merely regent. She became senior co-ruler while Thutmose III was relegated to junior co-regent, ruling Egypt for approximately 21 to 22 years before her death around 1458 BC. The royal succession story gets even more complex. Toward the end of Thutmose III's reign, not immediately after Hatshepsut's death, as early scholars believed, but approximately 20 years later, an attempt was made to remove all traces of Hatshepsut's rule. Her statues were destroyed, her monuments were defaced, and her name was removed from official king lists. Modern scholars now believe this wasn't revenge, but rather an attempt to ensure smooth succession for Amenhotep II, Thutmose III's son, by erasing any female interruption in the royal lineage from Thutmose I through Thutmose II to Thutmose III. One thing is absolutely certain. While most people remember King Tutankhamun's tomb discovered by Howard Carter in 1922, this discovery marks the first royal tomb from the New Kingdom to be found in over a century. Although other royal tombs have been discovered since 1922, including Susena's Thutmose from the Third Intermediate Period in 1940 and Senebkai from the Second Intermediate Period in 2014, Thutmose II's tomb represents the last missing burial site of the 18th dynasty kings, completing the archaeological record of Egypt's most powerful royal family. Dr. Litherland's team believes they have identified a likely site for a second tomb that may still contain the original contents evacuated from the flooded burial chamber. There are 23 meters of a pile of man-made layers sitting above a point in the landscape where we believe, and we have other confirmatory evidence, that another tomb exists, Litherland revealed. He speculates that Eneni, the renowned 18th dynasty architect who built Thutmose II's original tomb, may have taken it upon himself to construct a second tomb to protect his late ruler after the flooding catastrophe, giving the pharaoh the eternal rest that the architect felt he had failed to provide the first time. The emotional impact of stepping into a pharaoh's tomb after 3,500 years cannot be overstated. The emotion of getting into these things is just one of extraordinary bewilderment because when you come across something you're not expecting to find, it's emotionally extremely turbulent, really, Mission Field Director Piers Litherland told the BBC. And when I came out, my wife was waiting outside and the only thing I could do was burst into tears. The discovery represents more than just another archaeological find. It's a window into one of ancient Egypt's most pivotal moments. The brief reign of Thutmose II, sandwiched between his father's conquests and his son's military genius, and dominated by his remarkable wife who would become Egypt's greatest female pharaoh, reveals the complex power dynamics, family intrigue, and environmental catastrophes that shaped the ancient world's most powerful civilization during its golden age. The discovery of Thutmose II's tomb proves that Egypt's sands still hide royal secrets that can rewrite history at any moment. If Dr. Litherland's team successfully locates the second burial chamber where the flooded tomb's contents were relocated, we could witness the first intact pharaonic treasure discovery since King Tutankhamun in 1922. Until then, the tomb beneath the waterfalls stands as a testament to ancient Egypt's most mysterious power struggle, where a forgotten king, a legendary female pharaoh, and desperate priests fighting against rising floodwaters created one of archaeology's greatest puzzles that took 3,500 years to solve. Stay tuned.